Hi, I'm Remy. 3 months ago, I was on top of the world. I just aced an interview at Callaway Design, my dream job since sophomore year of college. The minute I stepped out of that glass-fronted building, I called my best friend Kira. They loved me, I practically yelled into the phone. Mr. Daniels said my portfolio was exceptional. Of course they did, Kira replied, her voice warm with pride. When do you hear back? End of the week. But honestly, I think I've got it. They were talking about projects they want me to work on. That's my girl. Are you heading home to tell your parents? I hesitated, my excitement dimming slightly. Yeah, Dad's been weird about this whole thing. Says graphic design isn't a real career. Your dad thinks anything that isn't accounting is frivolous, Kira scoffed. Ignore him. This is your moment. I know. I'll call you later, okay? The drive home took 30 minutes. Enough time for me to rehearse exactly how I'd tell my parents about the interview. Mom would be thrilled. She always supported my creative pursuits. Dad would need convincing, but surely even he couldn't argue with a starting salary of $65,000. As I turned onto our street, I noticed the plume of smoke first. Dark gray billows rising from our backyard. My stomach dropped. Dad had threatened to clean out my junk before, but he wouldn't actually. I slammed the car into park and ran around the house. There he was, standing over a metal trash barrel, methodically feeding items into the flames. What are you doing? I screamed, rushing toward him. He turned, his face eerily calm. Teaching you a lesson. I recognized the edge of my portfolio case blackening in the fire. My sketchbooks, the custom tablet I'd saved for months to buy. Stop it! I lunged forward, but he blocked me with one arm. This fantasy is over, he said, his voice flat. You got a call from Peterson Accounting while you were out. They want you to start Monday. Peterson? I never applied there. I applied for you. He tossed another sketchbook into the flames. Your mother and I didn't put you through college so you could doodle for a living. Those are my things. My voice broke as I watched years of work curl and ash. You live under my roof, you follow my rules. He dropped my external hard drive into the fire. It's time you grew up. I backed away, trembling with rage and shock, and ran to my car. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I drove straight to Kira's apartment. She opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. He burned everything, I choked out, collapsing onto her couch. My portfolio, my work, all of it. Who did? Her eyes widened. Your dad? Are you serious? He applied for a job for me at some accounting firm. The words felt surreal coming out of my mouth. He said it was time I grew up. Kira's face hardened. That's destruction of property. That's illegal. He doesn't care. He thinks he owns me. Well, he doesn't, she said firmly, sitting beside me. And he can't get away with this. What am I supposed to do? I can't go back there. No, you can't, she agreed. But you're not letting this go either. What he did crossed every line. I stared at my hands, still smelling the smoke in my hair. Everything I worked for is gone. Kira tilted my chin up. Not everything. Your talent is still here. She paused. And there are laws against what he did, Remy. Serious ones. You think I should press charges? Against my own father? I think, she said slowly, that some people only learn when there are consequences. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house while Dad was at work. Mom opened the door, her eyes red-rimmed. Oh, Remy, she whispered, pulling me into a hug. I'm so sorry. Did you know what he was planning? I asked, stepping inside. She shook her head. I came home and he was already burning your things. I tried to stop him, but you know how he gets. That's not good enough, Mom. My voice was sharper than I intended. Those were my belongings, my work. I know, sweetie. He just wants what's best for you. No, I countered. He wants what he thinks is best for me. There's a difference. Mom wrung her hands. He's set in his ways, but he loves you. People who love you don't destroy your dreams. I walked toward my bedroom, steeling myself. I need to see what's left. My room was stripped bare, drawers emptied, walls blank. I stood in the doorway, feeling hollow. "He took everything to the dump this morning," Mom said quietly behind me. "Except what he burned." My phone buzzed. Kira, checking in. "I'm heading over to the police station," I texted back. "We'll call later." At the station, Officer Martinez listened carefully as I explained what happened. "So your father destroyed your personal property without your consent?" she clarified, typing notes. "Yes, thousands of dollars worth, and years of work that can't be replaced." "Did anyone witness this?" "My mom, and probably the neighbors. The smoke was pretty visible." Martinez nodded. "This is criminal damage to property. Since the value exceeds $1,000, it's a felony offense." A felony? I hadn't expected that. "Property destruction with malicious intent," she explained. "We'll need to take your statement and contact your father." As I filled out the paperwork, my phone rang. My brother, Jake. "Are you seriously pressing charges against Dad?" he demanded without preamble. "How did you know that?" "Mom called me, freaking out. She said the police might arrest him." "He destroyed everything I own, Jake." "He's our father, Remy. He made a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to pick someone up from the airport. This was deliberate." "So you're just going to tear apart the family?" His voice rose incredulously. "I didn't do that." "He did." Jake scoffed. "You've always been dramatic. Just apologize and—" "Apologize?" I cut him off. "For what, having dreams? No, not this time." "You'll regret this," he warned. "Actually," I replied, "for the first time in my life, I'm standing up for myself. And that's something I'll never regret." After hanging up, I met with Mr. Thompson, a lawyer Kira's family knew. "Your case is straightforward," he said, reviewing my statement. "Criminal destruction of property with clear motive and witnesses. What happens now? We file charges, document damages, and prepare for either a plea deal or trial." He leaned forward. "Are you absolutely sure you want to pursue this?" I thought about everything my father had burned. Not just objects, but the message that my choices, my dreams, meant nothing. "I'm sure." 3 days later, I stood on my parents' doorstep, Mr. Thompson beside me. Dad opened the door, his face darkening when he saw me. "What is this?" he demanded, glancing at the lawyer. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He reluctantly let us in. Mom hovered in the kitchen doorway, looking anxious. "Mr. Harris," Thompson began, "I'm representing your daughter regarding the destruction of her property on Tuesday. The police have been notified, but we're here to discuss possible resolutions before this progresses further." Dad's face flushed. "This is ridiculous. You can't sue your own father." "Actually, she can," Thompson replied calmly. "And the evidence supports criminal charges as well." "Evidence?" Dad scoffed. "What evidence?" I placed my phone on the coffee table and played a recording. Mrs. Chen from next door describing what she'd seen from her yard. The smoke, my father feeding my belongings into the fire, my desperate pleas for him to stop. "The neighbors saw everything," I said quietly. "And Mom was here too." Dad turned to Mom, who looked away. "You're going to testify against me? Your husband?" "I told you not to do it, Richard," she whispered. "I begged you." "This family has lost its mind." Dad paced the room. "I was doing what parents are supposed to do, guiding my child." "By destroying her property?" Thompson asked. "By showing her the real world doesn't reward fantasy careers?" "My career is real," I interjected. "I got the job at Callaway. They called yesterday." Dad faltered, then regrouped. "You'll be let go within a year." "Maybe, but that would be my failure to learn from, not yours to decide." "You've never understood how the world works," he said, his tone shifting to one of patronizing concern. "I've spent 30 years in business watching talented people fail because they chose passion over practicality." "And I've spent 23 years watching you mistake control for love," I replied. Mom stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Richard, please, just apologize properly and work something out. Apologize? Dad's eyebrows shot up. For trying to save our daughter from years of struggle and disappointment? For wanting her to have financial security? For burning my property, I said firmly. For thinking you had the right to destroy what mattered to me. Everything I've ever done has been for this family. His voice rose as he jabbed a finger at me. Every sacrifice, every late night at the office, all to give you opportunities I never had. I never asked for that, I said. I asked for respect, for the chance to make my own choices. Respect is earned, not given, he spat. So is forgiveness, I replied quietly. Mom moved to stand beside me, surprising us both. She's right, Richard. What you did was wrong. On every level. Dad's face registered genuine shock. You're taking her side? After everything? This isn't about sides, Mom said. It's about right and wrong. And what you did was wrong. Remy, he said, his voice softening suddenly. I admit I went too far. I was frustrated, worried about your future. That doesn't excuse what you did. I'm your father. I'm apologizing. An apology doesn't replace years of work. He ran a hand through his hair, agitation building. What do you want from me? Money? Fine. I'll pay for your computer or whatever. This isn't about money, I said. It's about consequences. For God's sake, Remy, he exploded, slamming his hand on the table. I'm trying to fix this. The damage is already done. So that's it? You're choosing this vendetta over your family? You chose destruction over respect, I countered. You chose control over love. Dad's face contorted. Get out of my house, both of you. He pointed at me. And don't think you're welcome back. Mr. Harris, Thompson warned. Threats only complicate your situation. Threats? Dad stepped closer. I'll show you threats. I'll burn this whole place down before I let her extort me. Mom gasped. Richard! You heard him, I said to Thompson, who was already recording. And now so did the court. The hearing took less than an hour. Dad pleaded guilty to criminal damage to property, hoping for leniency. The judge wasn't impressed, especially after hearing the recording of his threats. Mr. Harris, she said sternly, you destroyed valuable property belonging to your adult daughter, showed no genuine remorse, and later made additional threats. This court sentences you to 2 years probation, restitution of $12,500, and mandatory anger management counseling. Outside the courthouse, Kira squeezed my hand. You okay? Getting there, I replied, watching my father talking angrily with his lawyer. Officer Martinez approached us. The restraining order has been processed. He can't contact you or come within 500 feet of your residence or workplace. Thank you, I said, feeling a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Remy. My mother's voice came from behind us. She looked tired, older somehow. Can we talk? Kira gave me a questioning look. It's okay, I assured her. I'll meet you at the car. Mom and I sat on a bench, an awkward silence between us. I found an apartment, she finally said. I'm leaving him. I stared at her. Really? What he did to you? I realized he could do something similar to me one day. She twisted her wedding ring. I've been too afraid for too long. Are you sure? After 30 years? Watching you stand up to him gave me courage. She tentatively touched my hand. I'm proud of you. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to hug her. Another part couldn't forget her silence when Dad was destroying my things. I understand if you don't forgive me, she continued. I should have stopped him. I should have done more. Yes, you should have. She nodded, accepting this. I hope someday we can rebuild. When you're ready. Before I could respond, I saw Dad walking toward the parking lot, turning to glare at us. Mom tensed beside me. I should go, she murmured. 2 weeks later, I was settling into my new job when Jake called. We hadn't spoken since before the hearing. Dad wants to meet, he said without preamble. He says he's changed. The counseling is helping. Good for him. He wants to apologize properly, make things right. There's still a restraining order in place. Which could be lifted if you agreed, Jake pressed. He's family, Rem. Being family doesn't give you the right to destroy someone's life. People make mistakes. And people face consequences, I replied evenly. Tell Dad I'm glad he's getting help, but I'm not interested in a relationship. That night, Kira and I celebrated my first completed project at Callaway with takeout and wine. To new beginnings, she toasted, clinking her glass against mine. And proper endings, I added. My phone buzzed with a message from Natalie, a colleague at Callaway who'd taken me under her wing. Just saw your presentation got approved. Drinks tomorrow to celebrate. I smiled and texted back. Absolutely. New friend? Kira asked, raising an eyebrow. My mentor at work. She's been amazing. Helped me rebuild my portfolio from scratch. See? One door closes, a better one opens, Kira said. Your dad never understood that you have real talent. I don't think it was about my talent, I replied, swirling my wine thoughtfully. It was about control. He couldn't stand that I was choosing a path he didn't pick. Do you ever regret pressing charges? Kira asked carefully. I considered this, remembering the look on Dad's face when the judge announced her decision. Not remorse, just anger at being held accountable, perhaps for the first time in his life. No, some people only learn through consequences. And some never learn at all, Kira added. The next day at work, Mr. Daniels called me into his office. I felt a flutter of anxiety. Was something wrong with my project? Remy, he said warmly, I wanted to personally tell you how impressed everyone is with your first month here. Your resilience and creativity are exactly what Callaway looks for. Thank you, I said, genuinely touched. That means a lot. We'd like you to take point on the Westfield campaign. It's high profile and challenging, but we think you're ready. Walking back to my desk, I felt a surge of vindication. This was what my father couldn't understand. That passion and talent could indeed translate to professional success. Do you ever think you'll talk to your dad again? Kira asked that weekend as we painted my new apartment. I considered this. Maybe someday. But not because I feel obligated. And not until I'm confident he truly understands what he did. Fair enough. She dipped her roller in the seafoam green paint, the exact shade I'd designed for Callaway's spring campaign. So what's next for the unstoppable Remy Harris? I smiled, thinking of my new apartment, my thriving career, and the strange, liberating feeling of setting boundaries that couldn't be burned away. Everything, I replied. Everything is next.